Hi, I'm Dr. Sherwana Davis, a psychotherapist, here to provide you with this week's review of Married to Medicine. While reality television provides us with lots of entertainment, it also provides us with some opportunity to gain some life lessons that we can apply to our lives. And this week's episode of Married to Medicine did not disappoint. There was plenty of fun on the front end where we saw it focus a lot on Phaedra. And then on the last half of the episode was really about friendships, in particular, some of the drama that happens when there's triangulation within relationships. So on the front end, we saw a lot of Phaedra at an event that Dr. Heavenly and her husband hosted. And we saw Dr. Heavenly trying to set Phaedra up with various members of the guests that were in the audience, and it was just fun to watch. There was also an area of the episode where we actually got to see Phaedra in her role as mother, which I think was probably the most touching part of the entire episode, where her son actually spoke so well of her, right? It's nice to have accolades and all of the other things that comes with success, but there's nothing like having your child speak highly of you. And so that particular segment of the episode was probably the best part of it, was seeing how much her son clearly loves her. And of course, the feeling is mutual between Phaedra and him. Now, the next half of the episode was rough, and that's because it involved triangulation. In particular, the triangulation was involving Dr. Jackie, Dr. Simone, and Dr. Heavenly. And so these three women are powerful in their own right, but it was interesting to watch this triangulation happen right before our eyes on the screen. And of course, probably the center of the conflict was there is an upcoming trip to celebrate 10 years, and the cast is going to be going to Hilton Head. And as we learned in the last episode, Hilton Head was the location where the affair or the allegations regarding Dr. Jackie's husband was also happening in that space. And so there was some sensitivities around the fact that this would be the location that Dr. Simone chose. In this episode, we were able to see, I thought, a couple of things happen, right? There's clearly triangulation in this friendship. So we have Dr. Heavenly, Dr. Simone, and Dr. Jackie. And at the center of the triangle, of course, is Dr. Jackie. And the other end of the triangle is Dr. Heavenly and Dr. Simone. And in this episode, we saw the conflict. And here are some things that you may want to consider if you're ever in a situation like this. The first thing that I saw that I really liked that Dr. Simone did was that she apologized, right? She owned that she made that mistake of not being aware or not remembering that this would probably be an area of hurt for Dr. Jackie to return or go to Hilton Head. So I love the fact that she got there and she really owned it and took full responsibility. So kudos to her for doing that. And that's really important. So the first step with any sort of situation where there's triangulation going on is open communication. And I thought that Dr. Simone actually did that well in this episode, really owning the fact that, hey, I forgot, it was not my intention to hurt, and to move forward. And so that was really important. It's also really important that the center of the triangle actually express, because sometimes when there's a triangulated relationship, the person that's the center of the triangle will often not speak. So that makes the other ends of the triangle in positions where they have to speak for them. So I would encourage lots of open communication, direct communication when there is these experiences of triangulation. Number two, setting boundaries, right? So if you are the center of the triangle, it's really important to set boundaries and say, hey, I don't need this person to speak for me or to do something on my behalf. I can do that on my own. And so that is really important. And so we saw Dr. Jackie do that a little bit in here, where Dr. Heavenly was really defending her. And then she started to at least start talking and speaking for herself a little bit there. But it's really important to be able to diffuse situations. If you are the center of the triangle, to really step forward and say, hey, I'm going to set a boundary here. I don't want you two arguing over me. I can speak and defend or articulate my own position. Number three, encourage individual relationships, right? So even though there may be three people that are in close proximity to each other, it's important that each has their own relationship so they don't feel the need to defend or to step in for someone when they really need to focus on the relationship that they have with each other. So developing that individualized relationship with each other is really important. And that way it doesn't feel like there's two against one, which sometimes happens when there's triangulation because the tables always turn, is what I have witnessed in those sort of situations. So, to prevent or avoid that from happening, it's really important that the individuals involved in that triangle really focus on fostering and cultivating their individual relationships with each other. The next thing is facilitate, right? If there is an area that is in need of repair, that's the power of the person that may be the center of that triangle, is making sure that there is mediation that takes place. And even the two sides of the triangle, right? To be able to step in to say, okay, I understand what happened here. It sounds like that was not your intent. Let's move forward. And figuring out a way to be able to mitigate is really powerful. And then the next area that's really important, and I didn't see it a lot in this episode. Hopefully, they will start thinking about that in future ones. But if not, I would say that the next thing you want to do to eliminate triangulation is focus on solutions. As long as you continue to argue and discuss something that has already happened, whether it was a mistake or not, it just makes it worse. But if you can focus on, okay, this happened, how do we go forward with solving it? Then it gets all three of those points of the triangle working together to find a solution. And that's much more productive, and it will hopefully salvage the relationships.